Welcome to Nintendo Voice, your voice for everything Nintendo. This is episode 124, recorded on the 24th of January, 2018. My name is Harrison Milfeld, and joining me to talk Nintendo, we have Colin Crompton.
Hello. Yeah, a very unusual situation, this, Harrison. It's just us two.
Yes, it is us two right now. We were originally supposed to record on Tuesday. Lewis couldn't make it due to, real-life circumstances such as work and whatnot.
Yep.
And I had thought about putting this off, but we thought, you know what? In this new system, I feel like I should get the hang of, us not relying too much on Lewis knowing, yes, he's our voice of this whole thing. He's our voice director. And it kind of makes everything kind of flow a little bit on there. But you know what? We can actually finish. We can do this ourselves right here. But, we do. And we have a lot to talk about. Well, a lot in the sense of, we unfortunately do not have what we've been playing. We do have some Nintendo news. One bit of the things that everybody's been talking about last week, which I'm sure Colin has a little bit more questions on too. And we do have a super topic. But judging right through the way right now, I think Colin wants to give a bit of a little tease about something next week he's going to be sharing with us. And we don't have what we've been playing, but he does
a tease.
A little tease.
So sometime over the next week, before recording next episode, obviously, I'm going to go visit my uncle who stores vintage consoles. He has a lot of old. He has the Atari 2600, the NES, which I'm most intrigued in because honestly, I've never really played an NES, as in spent much time with it ever. Because I had the Super Nintendo growing up, so it'd be interesting to go back and see what of that. So that'd be fun. So yeah, next week I'll be sharing what I found. So my experiences with the hopefully the NES. I mean, if you can get the Game Boy out, that'd be great. Because again, I never really played much with the Game Boy. So
yeah, and there's a lot of things you can probably find out of whether or not we have rummaging through our old stuff. I actually was trying to go through for my old GameCube in my dad's offices, but
wow.
It was boxes and boxes. I'm just I'm gonna deal with that later. And I have my games here, but the console's not there. So
right, yeah, it's very similar thing. It's he has all his consoles and stuff. I'm pretty sure he has the games too, but I know for a fact he has consoles. So at the very least, I'll talk about that. So yeah, next week, be cool.
All right. Well, before we get into Nintendo news, one thing I would like to kind of mention to everybody that we do have a Patreon. Of course, right there. This contributes to things of whatever, if you want to contribute super topics and such, donate to the Patreon. We can help, and you'll be able to get on the show and all sorts of little other goodies. Of course, you can find that at patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. Now, we are now on to the Nintendo news, and Nintendo had a bit of a out of left field announcement, to say the least. And this, of course, was coming off the heels of the the Nintendo Direct Mini the week before. What we had going to lead up to this announcement, which is, of course, I'm talking about Nintendo Labo. And just to get out the whole thing, everybody's wondering what it is a series of creative and cardboard activity, designs that are used to take advantage of the Joy-Cons and, of course, the Switch console itself.
Yeah.
And leading up to the announcement, before we had known anything, the world was tipped off that this was going to be a new way of playing that is meant for kids and kids at heart. Of course, that last part got me very interested, thinking what this could appeal to me, being 30 years old and all these older Nintendo fans out there. Yeah. And right after the announcement, it was a bit of confusion, but also intrigue to me. And now this is for everybody right there. This is called, it's called Nintendo Labo or Labo. I want to know what the. I want to know.
It's going to be Labo, right? It can't be Labo, as it sounds worse.
Well, no. For the longest time though, I was just calling it Nintendo Lobo, like the DC character. No. I had to mentally remind myself, with pictures. I'm okay, this is Labo, this is Lobo.
What is with Nintendo's naming conventions lately? It has to end in BO. You got Amiibo, then we got Labo. What's next? You know what I mean? It's
I'm not sure where you're getting at, but I see what you're getting
to. Why is it called Nintendo Lab? This is the Nintendo Labo.
Yeah, it's like an erector. I mean, the one thing you could probably see with this, I mean, I forgot what somebody had mentioned that this was comparable to as far as something now, but you know, this is the type of bit of creative stuff that you can get with, like, you know, obviously this is cardboard pieces that, you know, which I feel like anybody can take out literally outside of the box, whatever, to kind of make their own creations. But to get on here, we were shown in a nice little short little video here about these different packs. There's 2 packs this which will be releasing on April 20th, 2018. These will come in 2 packs: the variety kit and the robot kit. And the variety kit, which retails for about $69 US, it allows you to create 5 different Toy-Con projects, which is the name they're sticking with. And these include, you know, 2 RC cars, a fishing rod, a house, a motorbike, and a piano. And that one specifically is what caught my eye and intrigue when reading up about this. Is if there's one thing I want to say about the Nintendo Labo, whatever, like, as much as I have intrigue and probably want to just try this out, and because I'm as a creative, I really like kind of building things.
Yeah.
It looks so super intimidating to make, and I'm thinking, like, our kids are going to have a hard time making this without adults.
My thoughts were exactly. I just felt like, okay, so Nintendo made. I mean, they made a whole bunch of money selling plastic figurines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're moving on to cardboard. Like, they're going to conquer the world of cardboard. What's next? Yeah, Play-Doh. Nintendo Play-Doh. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I like the concept. I think it's too expensive. I think it's a little bit too pricey. $69.99 for 1 pack. I mean, yeah, I just feel like that. I mean, it's for kids. And I think that's a tough sell for parents. But take a look at it.
Well, this is the thing for, like, most people I've engaging, like, from people online when this was announced, is like, I have, you know, other writers like that we all know, whatever, that have kids or expecting kids,
right?
And that's one thing that really kind of, they said, like, when they looked at this, they got their attention to it. And of course, somebody like that who wants to help their kids, you know, to do, like, follow instructions and how to build these things a little bit. It's just I feel like it's a nice little step in the direction of what Nintendo wants to do, as far as, like, I mean, I feel like any other company did this, they would be laughed out. Here with Nintendo, and not to say that getting a free pass at all, is that they're the type of company that could easily do something like this. And but getting off, though, I mentioned that there was the variety kit. We do have the robot kit, which is $10 more, retailing at $79, and this will come with materials to make a Toy-Con robot suit. And here, and this is not the interesting part. Whatever the software that's included, though, it appears to be, you know, a revived, you know, one of Shigeru Miyamoto's other projects that he did unveiled alongside, what was it, when Star Fox Zero was first shown off. It's called Project Giant Robot, because as we remember, that game was kind of quietly canceled back in last February, I believe, or just So, and I don't know, it's nice to see something like this kind of just. It feels like when you see some bit of a canceled project like them, whatever, it just finds a way to kind of revive itself in some different atmosphere.
Kind of like when they revealed that Star Fox 2 was going to be on the SNES Mini. It's like, oh, it's back! You know, they brought it back from the dead. This is very much, although this is a bit more. I mean, me and Lewis played this. Me and Lewis played Project Giant Robot at a trade event in London. And even then, it's just like, this game feels like it's ropey as all heck. Obviously, it's a tech demo more than anything else. But I'm glad to see that they kind of morphed into something else. I just feel like, I mean, this for kids. That's the primary audience they're going for. This is kids. That puts them up against some stiff competition for, like, creative project toy ideas with kids. You know, I mean, the biggest one I can think of is Lego.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, like, you know, if Nintendo was able to do some bit of a partnership with them like that, but obviously that would have been different a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like there's something with the idea of with cardboard, whatever. And this is kind of a joke. It's like, these are biodegradable, so yeah, you don't have to have them sitting there. It can still just tear apart for its own, whatever. But it's really, like, they definitely thought well into this. And back when I was mentioning about with the variety kit, which includes the piano, is that now that that camera on the right Joy-Con, I wouldn't say it has a purpose, but has more of a purpose into it. Because we remember last year when it was shown how this was able to, see different, I would say shapes, but also like, I believe, amount of fingers that you would have or whatever pointing. Now, that camera itself, inside all the moving parts, like the strings and rubber bands, and when you're pressing on these cardboard keys for this piano, that camera senses what's going on to it, and it plays when you're hearing it from like, coming out of your the Switch, like the Switch tablet.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what kind of like, okay, they didn't just string this together like, oh, willy nilly. They went in deep thinking about this.
Yeah, totally.
And
yeah, I feel like I'm not sure. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, that is a really cool idea. But would it hold a kid's attention?
You'd be surprised at what can hold kids' attention these days. I mean, there's things that like can do the.
But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's the price value. I think they're overshooting it a little bit. Because at least, like, again, I'm going to bring up Lego again. At least that you can reconstruct it into something else. These are preset, like, shapes. They can only be one thing. So yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I think it has some growing to do. I'm not quite sold on it yet, but I feel like in there somewhere there's a really cool idea that they're just like pushing towards, and I am intrigued to see what that is. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, is it something for me right now? Probably not. It's like I wouldn't say a price that's getting on there because I already have enough things to kind of lying around, and I feel like if I had my nieces and nephews around a lot more, I probably would get this a little bit in here. But again, I would have a lot of fun just constructing this. That's what I feel like that gives. And this is really kind of feeling like one thing I was looking like as we talked last week. What are kind of some goals for Nintendo to kind of go into 2018 as far as like continuing the Switch's success of like putting out quality, putting out software, make sure there's no droughts, and just filling some needs. Is that where's the casual market kind of come to this? And this is not trying to find something that's replicating the Wii era, like the Wii, like that, the Wii/Wii U era is like trying. Well, not so much the Wii U, knowing that what I'm kind of getting at is the Switch itself does really feel like a console that is still catered to the core audience of what Nintendo fans are. And it's not. I mean, it's basically what was the Wii U was trying to do, aside from a tablet that was more tethered to the TV as into the other way around. And with this, though, I feel like with Labo, it's a matter of to kind of corner some bit of market, whatever, the kids that, to do more of their Switch. And some would say, well, would their resources be best put somewhere else? No, I mean, to me, I always go by that Weird Nintendo is some of the best Nintendo.
Oh, absolutely.
Weird Nintendo.
When Nintendo brought us Amiibos, no one really thought that. Well, I guess they were out before.
Well, there were Toys for Life things in the past, whatever. They were, I mean, I'm not sure there was a thing for cardboard cardboard market out there. But I mean, also, I will say though, even if this is not your jam, the memes for this were worth it online. The memes are so worth it. I think the one thing I got a lot, I didn't post it because I thought I already had done it was. This is just going to be me using like one night with a lot of alcohol, whatever, and it's just a picture of a guy in a Natty Ice Warrior like cardboard cutout thing. I'm like, oh no, but yeah, but as you were but it started to but as you were saying about like continuing off from that,
yeah, I say Weird Nintendo's cool. Yeah, I mean, as an idea, this is very strange, but like I said, there is potential here for something like really exciting. But as of right now, I just don't see it. But I'm sure at some point.
Yeah, and I am forgetting one thing on here though, that this does include that like there are two main sets here with the variety kit and the robot kit. There is a customization set which runs for $10, and that includes stickers, stencils, and special tape. That's to like help customize the boxes. So and as we saw in the video, we saw people like coloring on them, and you can do all sorts of things with this. And this is one thing I see as far as the future is to, there's going to be some Labo experiments, like, little special events for people and kids and even adults to kind of get around to try this thing out and just test everything to go along with it. And I could see that being a staple for some things, like say at the Nintendo New York store, and if they decide to kind of like expand out, whether it's like Chicago, LA, Boston, Philadelphia, around, or even in London, for instance, you could have things like that, or just like Labo experimentation, like sets where they can actually have people to come in and test these things out.
Now
that's
and
I feel like I'm thinking way ahead of things like that, but I could actually see something like that implemented.
I can totally see that. Yeah, I think that's what people need, especially for me. I mean, right now I think it's kind of an intriguing idea. I don't really get it, but I'm sure if I got my hands like there's a lot of potential. There's a lot more. I just feel like there's something there. I need to try it out, but at the price, that's the first hurdle was the price. I think a lot of people are going to have that hurdle. It's cool. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's interesting to see how because as we have the rest of 2018 left out here, and one thing I kind of get, and this goes for any company, is that you have things kind of out right now where it's okay. What's going on for the rest of 2018, or everything's worrying us right now, and it's it's January. It's January right now. I say that for anybody. Yes, we do have some things that are still in limbo at the point. But if you ask me that question, if it's April or something, but in the case, Labo is meant as something to stopgate something in April, where part of that scheduling is just we don't really have many, I won't say whole, but major releases coming in.
Right.
And again, it's just another thing to kind of placate things. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows? We could have a stream on here where we're trying to construct these things, but I mean, I can. The thing oh no.
I'm sure Lewis will be up for that. He'll jump at the chance. Plus it's another revenue stream coming in for Nintendo. I think we're later down the line. So I'll be intrigued to see if this does as well as what their Amiibo business did. I don't see it, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. And you're right. It's just what is it that we I don't know, just to kind of get some final thoughts on this, right? Though, is that we have something that's gonna have. I mean, it's understandable if something like this is not going to be your jam of sorts, and that's fine. But again, it's the wording. That's one thing when people were kind of hyping themselves up for this announcement that they realized there were people thinking that there was for some reason a person involved in the Animal Crossing, developing Animal Crossing, who retweeted that this event, this announcement was coming, and people were deciphering new Animal Crossing. And the thing is, that tends to jump the shark a little bit more because it seems it seems like with every direct. For instance, when you see a different developer retweet the direct that earned the announcement,
it's
usually
something's going to happen.
Yeah, something's going to happen. But in this one, it's just, I feel like people would stop trying to set themselves or their hype a little bit more, and that's actually kind of leading to a super topic that we're having right now. So that's a bit of a that's a bit of a foreshadowing there. People were just getting too overhyped. I'm like, this could be anything. And I was, my mind going into it was this is going to be something obviously aimed at kids, but also in the little casual space. I think Nintendo really wants to kind of slightly dip their toe back in again. I don't think they're going to have that same blue ocean success like they did with the Wii.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah. That'd be, if they reach that height again, like with the Wii strategy. Wow. What do you think the odds are they're going to come out with a new IP that's cardboard based? So they can just build it around Nintendo Labo and be look, see.
Well, I don't know. The Project Giant Robot is one of these things that are really into it, and I'm thinking maybe that's, I don't know, not necessarily a new IP, but it's just, again, it's a Miyamoto joint, of course. So it's we could see on there. I again, back to the whole thing when it came to memes related to this one. I think the one that I just lost it at was Chris Kohler of Kotaku. He basically put on a piece of cardboard with a Joy-Con on there, and it wrote Mother 3 on there, and it says, "It's not working." I was clever enough. So there was lots of other ones, people built an arm cannon, Samus's arm cannon with Metroid Prime 4, and it's this is not working, whatnot. So, but overall though, I mean, I'm seeing overall thoughts on Labo, whatever. It's Nintendo being weird at its best, and I tip my hat to them for something like this. And who knows, maybe once the day gets up there, I may end up buying one of these because. I don't know, but maybe the prospect of building a little toy piano or a little motorbike and pretending to fish, when I was a kid, just speaks volumes to me for some ways. So,
my final thoughts. Cool idea. It needs some growing. I feel like it's too pricey right now, but there is definitely a kernel of a good idea in here. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. Really am.
Oh yeah, and and curious to see what Lewis's thoughts on there. But again, I'm sure
yeah.
he probably leans on the ways of like, yeah, this is something that's definitely gonna be an eye on. So
he probably thinks it's the best thing in the world right now. Knowing this,
Not
he's
so
probably
much.
he's probably freaking out about it.
Making those twisted fusions going to be a Labo experiment.
Oh, wow, there's a job for you, Lewis. Go on it.
Well, that's enough though for the Labo, like the news on the Nintendo Labo or Labradoodle. Yeah, that's the names on there. Labradoodle, like Labrador. So that again, it was this whole announcement was a meme factory of sorts. So it just even if you didn't even if you didn't like it, it was just you had just so much fun. Just people just not joking about it. So but yet still intrigued. But But that is it for the bit on our news on Labo, though. And our final bit of news today is about a new game released on the Switch, but of a familiar game that we all, and that is the original SteamWorld Dig is coming to the Switch on the 1st of February. Yes, this was confirmed with it was over an interview with Image Inform's one of the developers from Image Inform that have developed at SteamWorld Dig, and on an episode of a podcast that they were on, one of the developers had announced that the original SteamWorld Dig would release on the Switch in first, bearing unforeseen circumstances. And now the game will be priced at $10 on the US dollars on the eShop. So, as someone who never did play the original SteamWorld Dig, except for a little bit here, so I'm glad to pick this one up first and finally get SteamWorld Dig 2. So
I saw someone who did play for the original. Great game, absolutely great game. Kind of had a cult status for a while, but then it really blew up, and it's definitely worth all the praise. I kind of odd timing. I kind of thought they'd do the first one first, and be like, oh, by the way, the sequel's coming out. Intriguing. It's cool. I can't complain.
Well, no. I mean,
I'm glad it's getting more life.
It's just a string of more games coming to the Switch, and then are like, it's a matter of keeping up and like what's going to be happening. No, I'm sure to actually finally try this out again for the first time, and just I again heard many good things. But that does take us to the end, and there's like I said, we had a long discussion on Labo, and then just a teensy little bit short on SteamWorld Dig finally coming to the Switch. But that does in fact take us to the end of the Nintendo news. Moving forward, though, we do have a super topic, and for anybody out there who wants to contribute any super topic questions or information, if you are a patron out there, you can send as many super topics as you can out to us, and if you want to, you can become a patron at patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. As you see, I'm getting into this whole thing right now as Lewis is a little bit memorized here. So that's our Patreon plug. That's our Patreon plug. Please he is here. So our super topic comes from a regular contributor, Daniel Gaskin, and it is titled The Hype Machine. And he asks, with all and this is one that's been in our queue for a while, so excuse me for a while, since October. And he asks, with all the recent hype over Super Mario Odyssey, has there been a game you've been hyped about but been bitterly disappointed over? Alternatively, has there ever been a game with no hype that completely surprised all expectations? So, and this one can kind of be a little tied a little more from last week when we had 2 weeks ago, we had a super topic question about like what was one of the game that you like one of your worst game purchases, and this could probably be tied into here and here. So I do want to ask, though, start with you, Colin. What was a game that you were hyped about but disappointed over, and then the inverse of that?
So for me, a lot boils down to sequels. Usually the first game's so good, and the sequel comes out, you're excited for the sequel, and it doesn't deliver. My pick, I can't say I was bitterly disappointed, but after like the impressiveness of the original, I was disappointed. Metroid Prime 2. Echoes.
Oh, really?
I love the original. I think the original was pretty much a masterpiece in game design. I feel like the second one dropped the ball on that pretty hard. I mean, I really was looking forward to it. I thought it was going to be great, just like the first one, and it is. But there's something off about it, and I just feel like I can't really quite put my finger out. I think it's because of the whole go between the light world and the dark world.
Well, it's interesting it's interesting you say that, because I think it was like one of the producers of Link to the Past was actually involved in Echo, so that definitely had a way of it going into it. But I think I'm getting with it's my least favorite out of the Prime trilogy, but one that I felt like that did, I wouldn't say got bigger, but there was a sense of padding in there, and I feel like the Dark World of Aether didn't really add much to compel you. I mean, what really liked you as much as far as like in when you're in Dark Aether, like as opposed to regular like the light side of Aether, and then when you looked at the first Prime, one thing that Retro is really known for, like with those Prime titles, is their their production design of each room, because it seemed like no room looked the same. And same with like Dark Aether, the contrast of the dark and purple really didn't pop out.
It wasn't the same. Yeah.
And the funny thing you say about this, I'm sorry to cut you off there. It's there was a former a former employee at Retro Studios. He was a technical lead engineer for Primes 1 through 3. His name is Jack Matthews, and he took place in an interview with Shinesparkers.net.
Right.
And he was asked about Prime 2, and of course this is the question they asked him. Some people have criticized Metroid Prime 2 for being too difficult, and Metroid Prime 3 for being too simple and shoehorning in motion controls. How do you feel about such criticisms, and how do you think those parts of the games are fine the way they are, or could have been improved? Here's what he says about Prime 2. My personal opinions, Prime 2 was too difficult, but it was masking a lot of other flaws, and this is what we were getting to. Being in the Dark World was constantly stressful. The ammo mechanic was stressful, the Dark World's color palette was samey, which led to environmental confusion and thus stress. The game simply made you anxious when you were playing it, as it kind of goes on and on. And and this is a game that a lot of good different, like I would say, has some of the better one good great boss battle in there, and that's with Quadraxis, which I feel like at the time you're like, wow, this is one of the biggest boss battles I've ever seen in my entire life, and of course that was trumped by I feel like Shadow of the Colossus when I kind of look more about that.
Wow, yeah.
So, but I think this was for something that was like a big like critical darling like Prime was, there's a lot to live up to, and and of course they Retro was not under such a big stress that they were with that first game, and having to just get everything out as quickly as possible while canceling these projects here and there.
Yeah.
And this one they kind of had everything in order, but I think that's what they do, and I think its success it did fine it did fine critically, even if some people like look back on it like differently. That it had the unfortunate of releasing in the same time as Halo 2, so that did not really help it out, and it didn't really help that Metroid Prime was getting those Halo comparisons.
It was, especially with the shoehorned in. I say shoehorned in. I didn't really enjoy the multiplayer in Echoes. I kind of felt like it was just like thrown on top. Yeah, I did. That didn't help. And actually, I was going to say follow on from that. I think Metroid has a great example for this. I mean, Other M, I was excited for. And I'm not going to say people say Other M's a terrible game. I don't think it's a terrible game. I think it's well made. I just felt like the story was poorly written at best. So I'm gonna say, Other M kind of goes into that as well. I was excited for it, but it didn't quite fulfill what I was hoping for it, because it was like, it follows straight on from Super Metroid. It's great. And it's like they try to go back to semi 2D, but it's like 2.5D. Really.
Well, it's like I could tell. Well, when you look at this as Metroid, it's not quite a successful franchise in Japan, and I think one thing would have to fail to realize, yes, it's a recognizable franchise, but it's still at a hard kind of niche almost. And there's always that argument that, like in this interview as well, talks about how they were asked would Metroid itself succeed if it was a different console, and it boils down to the fact it's still niche, because when you look at Nintendo, a company that thrives a lot of its success on nostalgia, which is not bad in its ways. It's just kind of a bit of a truth to it. It's just they just know how to kind of age well with their games and give you experiences that really are more centered on a gameplay mechanic as opposed to just story, which of course I still like out there. But when you put something that forefront, it spirals out of control. But he does answer that it would make no difference at all, because it's when you look at Nintendo franchises. Everybody knows Mario. Everybody knows Zelda, even though you're going to get some of those few casual people who are like, oh, Link is Zelda or something like that. And then Metroid kind of comes up, and then you have like, oh, I remember that. That first game. Really, that's what they'll get to. And that's not to say anything bad against like Super Metroid or Metroid Prime.
Right.
And it's just, I think what Metroid is, and that whole thing's trying to break out of being this anomaly inside of Nintendo. Whatever, it's such with such good critical hits that it just can't sustain success with sales.
Games like Federation Force didn't really help it.
And I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was saying again. I've not played it, but I've looked at it doesn't look like a terrible game. Like it's well made. It's just not what people wanted. So it immediately get crapped on because it's like, that's not much for a game.
It's I don't know. It's a very interesting way of doing. I just never understood that. Whatever. I mean, there's things I would have done better, but I don't have the urge to go back and play it again because it's a game best when you have people around you playing it. So, but the case of the other end, when you're talking about how it's, I remember that hype that came up to whatever. I remember that. I say alongside the Cloud reveal in Smash Brothers, I really do feel like the other M announcement was one of those few announcements where we just did not expect happening.
Didn't see it coming. Yep. No,
we did not. We had no mind thinking in any possibility. We're like, that does not exist.
Oh, it's more shocking. Team Ninja's behind it. I'm like, are you serious? Really? Like, the Ninja Gaiden team? Cool. Sign me up. I love Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like, it's going to be great because it's Team Ninja, and it definitely had that. It felt a little bit too Team Ninja-y for a Metroid game. You got Samus doing flips and stuff. I'm like, okay.
No, those were actually. I feel like I like the acrobatics of Samus that way. I think that's something that really kind of just bridged it out and gave me a kind of couple. Yeah. To lack a better term, cool moments. So
it's very definitely. But I just I don't know. It has flaws and stuff. But on the other end of the spectrum, we talk about games with no hype that are actually really good. So let's talk Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 1 kind of ruined Star Wars for me a little bit.
There as some people. There's that revisionist bit of thing when looking back at the prequels. But to me, I'm one of those people that just says, you know what, we're kicking a dead horse here. Let's just move on from it. But no. So. Yeah.
I still think Episode 1, it's not a terrible movie. Again, it's not a terrible. It's well made. It has.
There's things. There's a loose thing to it because are we talking about the movie or are you talking about a game right now? I feel like
it branches off from the movie. So, Star Wars Episode 1, Pod Racer on N64. So I watched Star Wars Episode 1. I thought it was horrendous. Didn't really like it. So I had zero expectations when it comes to the game. I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this racing game. Let's do the pod racing, which I hated the pod race scene in Episode 1. But Pod Racer on N64, it's an incredible game. It's a great game. I would put it above F-Zero X. I really would.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially a game like that had that was for a 64 game was operating at 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like in terms of the fun factor, because F-Zero, I can't remember a single course in F-Zero X. I really cannot remember a single course.
Big Blue? That's it. Come on. Mute City.
Okay, besides the classics. Put the classics to
besides the
but yeah, racing through Tatooine, you got to do the whole flip to the side to get through the canyon. It just felt cool. It really did felt cool. So yeah, that's pretty much my pick. If you want to do, I could take the whole question on its head. Again, it had zero hype. That exceeded my expectations. The Wii U port of Watch Dogs, because we got it 6 months. I think it's 6 months after I
think longer than that.
Okay, it was under a year, I think, but it was pretty much forgotten about, and they sort of quietly released it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to pick this up. So I picked up Watch Dogs on the Wii U. No, I went into it thinking it was going to be bad because Ubisoft just sat on it for ages and didn't really push it or anything. It exceeded my expectations in how bad it was because it is probably the roughest port of any game I've played.
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay.
it totally blew me away with how bad it was. It was amazing. So yeah, kids, don't pick up the Wii U version of Watch Dogs. It barely works.
No. It turns out. I know. Knowing that everyone's Wii U has been either dead and and buried, or just collecting dust to the side. I will say though, but for those of you who are still kicking along though, and if you want a good third-party experience, do pick up Deus Ex Deus Ex for it though, the director's cut.
Oh yes,
Please, it is a. I would want to say that's probably, as far as that game and from that generation of consoles, I think it's probably one of the best ports out there. So
hands down, it's the best version out there. I would say above even the PC version, it's the best version out there because it takes all the Wii U features and just uses them.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel too clunky and such with and I feel like that was one of those justifiable uses of the gamepad. Now I guess it's my turn though to say well, I have a few that I was hyped for. Other M would probably be up there. I was disappointed with it, but it's something I don't have. Metroid Other M is something I'm not gonna beat continuously on, but I was just I just was not left as much satisfied that I got when I played, say, Prime or Zero Mission. And this one, I'm just like I was left, or even like Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, which is still considered my second favorite out of that trilogy.
Oh, okay.
And after leading with that, I was just like left empty thinking about it. And of course, knowing when you read videos and read articles about the depiction of Samus and its gameplay, you of course kind of change that to this. You kind of sort of mold yourself and agree with it, and I don't know, it sticks with you. But again, I played through it again afterwards and 100%ed it.
Wow.
Which by the way has a great boss battle with Fantoon at the end, and I feel like that's one of the probably the highlight. Okay. That's the highlight of the game, and I don't know. And I guess at the end I was just left defending it, but also kind of accepting its shortcomings because it was it was a vanity project of sorts from Yoshio Sakamoto, and it was just something that just didn't stick its landing. I understand you want to do something to it and flesh out this character more. Even though I don't know, people were saying how she just has these flaws and and I feel like that's better for a character to make her 3-dimensional as far as it's just blank slate killer. I don't not killer, but
she's perfect. Exactly, yeah.
But I don't know. That's one that I have on there, and of course, it's a decent 6.57 out of 10 game if you forgive the abhorrent stuff.
Okay,
that's it. That's
it. Still good. That qualifies as good, people. 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
Just
not great, but it's good.
Good, but lower on the bar of Metroid games. That's really how you get to it. Another one I think, and I did kind of touch up. I think I did touch up on this in whatever worst game purchases. But as far as disappointment, Star Fox Adventures is definitely one of those. So that's briefly put on there.
I'm kind of the opposite. I really love Star Fox Adventures. When Star Fox Assault got announced, I was like, oh, cool, and it was completely different. I felt like it wasn't what I wanted, and that's another disappointment for me.
Truth. Yeah, I think it was hype for it because this was Rare's last game that they were developing on a Nintendo home console.
Was it well known at that point? It was going to be Rare's last game.
When did this come out? It came out.
I think they already
came out 2002. It came out 2002, and right around the time when this was releasing, Rare had already been purchased by Microsoft. So
it was known. People were like, "Oh, it's going to be the send off this one song."
But it just. And I think the one thing that kind of plagues a lot of Rare's games that people, and yet there's a sect of people that actually like it, is it's a Zelda clone, but it has those collectathon bits into it. And again, that segues into another disappointment that I had, and that is Donkey Kong 64.
Oh,
yes, and that leads into the whole thing to me that I just didn't. I don't know. I just feel like it took the worst parts. I took the things of Banjo-Kazooie and just multiplied worse. To me.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh.
I like handling the different cons. I like the boss battles, but to me, this was just something it became more of a chore to play.
Yeah, when there's 7 different colors of banana you got to collect, it kind of
it was, and it was infuriating.
Yeah,
I did not like it, especially using those type of graphics and that type of visual, that visual palette. It was at times infuriating to try and find these things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So. But another one I could probably think of, though, that was... and I'm just eyeing my games list right now. Just I'm thinking, I can't think of it. Again, I'm disappointed, but I didn't. I think that's really... that's as far as major disappointments I can think of on there. I could probably think the same thing for... maybe some third-party entries I was really disappointed with Warrior Within for Prince of Persia because it was at that time, and thankfully,
was that the that's like everyone calls it the emo entry.
That was the emo. Well, here's what games back in that era at the time. Well, that's what. No, and this was the same thing that happened that plagued games like, say, Sly Cooper or Ratchet & Clank or anything like that. It seemed like you had a very good first installment, but it just didn't really sell. It didn't sell gangbusters, and it was that time in the game industry where it's like, well, we just gotta like mature this all up and just get everything into it. And of course, what was simply a T-rated game in the Prince Sands of Time, now we have the Prince where it's just like, okay, it's like it dipped it into a vat of Hot Topic. That's what it did.
It had like a grunge look to it. It was like all dark and like, and
Stan, all that different voice actor, and there are times where the Prince's accent does slip into American, and it's really, really just distracting.
Actually, speaking of Prince of Persia, I was going to add.
And I never finished it. The
Prince of Persia. It's just called Prince of Persia. It's like came out like 2006. It's just called Prince of Persia.
It came out in 2007 or 2008. I know what you're talking about. It's it's like PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and I actually own them. That one, I was not having too much hype for it, but this is a non-Nintendo entry. That was one that actually I didn't mind really to me, and we haven't seen anything since then.
No,
so
that's right. Yeah, that's fine. It was ridiculous. You couldn't die. I was like, okay, that's odd design choice. Let's see. I'm trying to think of handheld stuff. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few. Oh, actually, speaking of games that I didn't really have much hype for, but blew me away, Professor Layton, the very first Professor Layton. I had zero expectations going into it, and I was like, you know what, this actually is really good, really good. And now look at the series; it's like going on forever. So, yeah.
I'm gonna laugh if there's a game like I'll tell you a game that you have zero hype for, but you may watch Detective Pikachu be that one. I just watch it. Just watch it.
It's not gonna happen. It's just no. This is just no. I couldn't get past the character, and that's why I can't. Layton, you need to find looking dude. He's got a giant hat, but Pikachu in a detective costume. No.
Yeah. I think my one final game that I feel like that I was not really necessarily hyped for, but really enjoyed was this is a Wii U entry, and it was it would have to be the Wonderful 101. It was a game that I knew for again, Platinum Games was developing this one exclusive to Nintendo platforms, and I want to say I'm not sure if the characters of that game are exclusive for Nintendo or Platinum retains the rights. I'm not. I know that Sega technically owns Bayonetta of sorts, of course. So, but no, that was one that I really kind of got like. At times, I did get a little bit frustrated with how it controlled, but one kind of grew to love more and more as I got into it. I mean, that was, again, it was a game that I started out really on a bad foot to me, where I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this one bit, and it's just. I don't know. There's just something as far as the Saturday morning cartoon feel to it, whatever, or it's just they got me so really amped up, and the fact that what you can do with these men of like characters that you had on screen to just form these different objects, and so like whether it's a whip, a hammer, a gun, a fist, a sword, and it worked so well for me, especially during boss battles, which I find the last boss battle in this game to be not so bonkers that I think I want to say either my A or B buttons were worn out because of the quick time events. No, seriously, there are many times where I failed on those that I just did not. I just could not believe how much I was like, this thing's gonna be broken. It's gonna be broken by the end of it.
Blame the controller. That's the best way to have it. Yeah, I have one for the GameCube. I was like, had zero expectations, but that'd be great. Beautiful Joe blew me away. I mean, there's no real like, this game's amazing kind of feel about it, but you got it, and it's like, this is really good.
Yeah, the concept to me is very forward thinking.
No, very, absolutely. Yeah. Just the whole slow motion and fast forward mechanics. I know quite of the whole, if you put things in slow-mo, like water droplets get bigger. If you think about it, that doesn't make sense. But it works for the game. That game's great, especially the boss battles. Very challenging game as well. I can't think of any others that already kind of blew me away, really.
Nothing on the mind in there. Well, I mean, I have none of them right there. But do you have any last ones to actually add to the discussion?
I have plenty that I had high expectations for, and actually blew me away. So, yeah, no, I can't say there is anything else really. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's plenty more to go into what we have in. I mean, many of us we've mentioned before that we're disappointed to, whether it's Star Fox Adventures, Other M, or some that really just surprised us. Like I said, Beautiful Joe was a good example in there. One that I was very hesitant of, like, its look, and I know it was part of that famous Capcom 5 that was announced with GameCube, only with like one, two, three, I'm counting, actually did come out, and 2 were just quietly canceled. But no.
I feel like a lot of sequels sort of fall into this, right? Like the original is so good, and then the sequel just kind of drops the ball. I just can't think of many sequels right now, but I'm sure there's plenty we can go through. Yeah. I mean, if you want to go way back, I know a lot of people were disappointed with Zelda 2.
Like the Adventure of Link?
The Adventure of Link. I mean, compared to the original.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go back, I mean, that's more of a connection of like many sequels during that era where it was just a complete U-turn.
We did one game, and then we're going to do a completely different second game. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah, and the third game was the return to the form. So
that's right. They did that a lot back in the day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did it. Oh yeah, they did it. They did it with Castlevania. They did it with Mario. They did it with Zelda. No, I don't think they did it with Mega Man. No, they didn't. I mean, Capcom has a very interesting history of like, you get that one big hit out there, and then it becomes samey, and then there's this new installment that just changes the whole like outfit of it. Like you have Mega Man to Mega Man X, Resident Evil to Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. I mean, Mega Man, they made one Mega Man game 6 times essentially. So yeah, Resident Evil 4 was a complete game changer in terms of that series. But yeah, I think I've done. I can't think of any.
Well, I mean, we had a good discussion on there as far as games that disappointed us in their hype, and those games with no hype that really just grabbed us and just took us for very important, like really interesting rides to us that we, of course, couldn't stop talking about it, or we just had to recommend them to friends. But with that end of the super topic, that does take us to the end of the show today. And like I said, if you want to contribute any more to the any super topics in the future, you can do so by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. And for as low as any tier on there, and you can contribute any type of super topics that we can discuss on here. We have about a few more on here in our palette that we still have to get through in future episodes. So who knows, if you got something very interesting, you could probably push that to the top. But before we go, though, before we sign off here, we're going to give our contact information. And Colin, where can everybody find you in the world of the internet?
The world of the internet. Oh, what a scary world. But you can find me on Twitter, mostly, at Harley and Bards, where you can find me. I do take over the Nintendo Voice account on weekends, and we do the voice your opinion. It's already a poll. It's more of a.
I did see that. I did see you actually put a very one that gained a lot of traction.
Yeah. Just swap one franchise for another, and people sort of latched onto it, which is great. It's great to see. So I'm usually there and interacting with that. So yeah, keep an eye out for that on the weekends.
Well, awesome. And again, I know you've got your streaming channel up and doing all sorts of things. So do check that out for him as well. And people ask me, why haven't you done it right now? And in me, it's more time and bandwidth at the moment, so we'll see. Now, but for those who want to reach me, you of course can reach me at Milfeld. And if you want to be my friend on Twitch, my profile is pinned to the top of my profile. And of course, if you want to reach us here at Nintendo Voice, you can at twitter.com at Nintendo Voice. And of course, with all of that right now, this has been Nintendo Voice, and we will see you next week with hopefully a full crew.
Yeah, Brit Lewis. Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody, or listening.
Oh no. See you all later. Take care.
See you later, everybody.